We're at the GoggleWorks for the Leesport Bank Artists Gallery, and we're going to be looking at the work of Nancy Kauffman. And Nancy is an advertiser. She's been in advertising for a good while, and has decided to show a number of her own personal works. She's basically a photographer, but she works inside and outside the realm of photography and uses specialized techniques in order to meet her ends. And we're going to be speaking with Nancy, and here she is. Hi, Nancy. How are you?
Hi, Ron. Good, thank you. How are you?
Pretty good.
Good.
Can you tell us a little bit about your work?
Okay. I start with a photograph, one of my original photographs, and I like to think of it as taking a photograph and then making a picture. Everything that you see here is taken into professional photo editing software, and I start with an image, and then very much like a painting, I build upon it. And some of these pictures have 15 or 20 layers where there's basically a study. There'll be a little part of a photograph that I like, and I'll do something to enhance it, to bring it forward, or have a picture in my mind of how I think it should look or how I want it to look. Almost as though I were doing a painting on canvas. This, for instance, this is an old photograph of a blizzard, and I scanned this. This was a film photograph. It's a mix of film and digital, and I went into it, and even though it was gray and cold and snow-covered, I saw everything as being brittle and very, very hard, and that's what I went for in that photograph. And as we walk down this way, I live in the woods, and every spring the things that come up out of the dead leaves, it's just amazing. This is
some of these are straight photography, and others are...
No, they've all had work done on them.
Okay,
but sometimes it's less obvious, and it goes beyond just basic color correcting. I'll take a portion of the photograph, aside from cropping it. I then go in and look at a part of the photograph that I really want your eye to go to, and then I'll work on that, and I might enhance it, I might sharpen it, or change the color balance, or in the case of the snow picture, you know, I really took it into some special effects and created some texture in it, and I alter the lighting. So I do something to every one of the
Every single one of them is manipulated in some form.
And then this is truly created. This was one picture of a great-looking mothfly, and after I took the photograph, I thought, what am I going to do with the picture of a mothfly? And I just started thinking about it, and it turned into almost this quilt-like pattern with this wonderful little star figure. This is a number of layers. The flag is on a clear sheet, and the line work in this was just a regular color photograph, which I converted into this line conversion, and the line work is on another sheet of clear, and then there's a colored sheet that backs it. And you can take the same photograph and enhance the richness. The whole feel of it is different when it comes out and it's not on glossy paper. And I like that because that gives it another element of depth and texture.
The other one.
That's the same image as the other trees, but this one, again, I put color into it, and I changed the trees to white, and it just looked like winter white to me. It just looked like a snowstorm, like a blizzard, and that's probably one of my favorite ones. It's one of the first ones. That one's really worked the most of many of these pictures. And the layers on that, probably 15 layers, and each section had a different effect applied to it until I came up with that. And a lot of it's trial and error. You might have a layer that doesn't work, and accidentally, if I turn off one layer, it exposes another layer, and I'll see something that I didn't see before, and that may end up as being the final picture. This picture is called Mother Nurture.
Okay. This is called Mother Nurture?
Mother Nurture. The root of this tree just embraces this rock, and it just looks so comforting to me. This photograph actually has a good deal of work done to it. I did some more traditional retouching on this. There were some leaves on the rock that I didn't like, so I took them out and replaced it with rock. But it has more work done to the background, and it's also done on layers of different paper, which really adds a depth to it and a warmth and a richness to it.
Yeah, it's very interesting. You have to look at it a little bit to actually see what it is.
And I like to take a photograph and then look at the portion of it. This was a much larger image area, but this was really, the cropping of this was really what made the photograph, because there was just this root. I didn't even see it when I took the photograph. It was a tree and a rock, and I'm not actually sure what I was looking at, but when I brought it up on the screen and looked at it, it was there, and it's a very comforting photo to me. A lovely little cafe in France, in the south of France. And it was just a colored photograph, and I liked the composition, but there was something there when I looked at it. I had a feeling the day that I was there, standing there, and it wasn't coming across in the photograph. It was just a basic tourist photo. And it took a couple months of putting it away and bringing it back up and looking at it until I finally got what it was that I wanted to have with this. And the transition is just, it's amazing. It has a watercolor feel to it now, and it just, the depth of it just draws you in, and it really feels more like a painting than a photograph, which is weathered. And it's just a marvelous stand of tree trunks that we passed our last vacation in outside of Seattle, and we saw this, I saw this, and just stopped the car and jumped out and took the photograph. And when I brought it home, there was something there, again, there was an image there was a feeling that I had when we looked at it, and it really said, it just showed, it was almost a graveyard of tree trunks. And what I did in selecting items, again, with the layers, this was selected because I was doing color enhancing in the overall color photograph, and I turned off a layer underneath, and the grass just appeared, and that's when it started to build itself. And then I selected these and enhanced these, and then faded this out in the back.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. I like how it leapfrogs there. It looks like you could almost jump from one trunk to another. And that it turns into this gray area in the back, which is almost has a symbolism to it, that you have like a little bit of you know, like a fantasy world back there, like you're, like when you cross the river, you're going into some other realm or dimension. I don't know.
And that's the thing about this art, is just what you described, because everyone who looks at it, unlike a photograph, you can look at a photograph and appreciate a photograph, but because these are photo art pieces, when you look at them, you can have that interpretation. You can look at it and see in the foreground there's life. This is all, I mean, the subject matter is a dead tree. It's a tree trunk. The tree's been cut down. Yet here's brand new life. Yet it fades across, and you can put your own interpretation
It's interpretive,
into each piece.
Yeah.
And this series is called Reflects. And what I did was copied this image and just reflected it, and then started to work on this and applied a number of different filters, and it was a lot of trial and error and color manipulation and textures and adding, again, the stylized filters on it until I got what looked to me like a reflection, but yet not a mirror reflection. And it does have some ripple texture in it, so it has a little bit of a water feel to it.
Thank you very much. We are speaking with Nancy Kauffman at the Leesport Bank Gallery in the GoggleWorks. And this is Ron Schira for another Art Geek production, and thank you.
You're welcome.